What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Apocalypse Movies. I am Jake Blaine, fellow apocalypser, and this is my review of Nocturnal Animals, the latest film from Tom Ford. It stars Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor Johnson, a little bit of Isla Fisher and Armie Hammer in there as well. But just a little backstory on the movie if you have not heard of it. It is kind of considered an indie film, so it will not be playing everywhere. Amy Adams in present day is an art gallery dealer artist, and she is with Armie Hammer, and she receives a novel from her ex-husband, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, a book that he has just written titled Nocturnal Animals, and the film takes place mainly in two different time frames. Really, there's kind of three in there too, a little bit of flair from the past, but it's present day of Amy Adams and what's going on with her, and as her reading the novel, and then as she's reading it, we're seeing it play out in real time. Jake Gyllenhaal plays the main character in the novel. Michael Shannon's in the novel as well, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Isla Fisher as well. But just right off the bat, if you're looking to see this movie, or if after you this you're interested, just beware that it is a very big thinking movie. And I can't stress this enough, because as I was watching this, there are multiple parts going on, and it'll have you thinking and wondering and perplexed and questioning and all these types of things as you're watching it. And that's why I personally enjoyed it, just because it kept me on my toes. I was shaking my head the entire time, just wondering, looking what was coming next, and I just had no idea what was coming next. And that's why I enjoy these type of films, especially these indie films. And I don't know if I've ever seen a Tom Ford movie before, but fantastic director, fantastic. I think that he was able to capture what he wanted to perfectly. I don't know what he wanted to capture, but I think he did it perfectly. And just run through some positives and negatives. That's how reviews work. Positives, I think the cast obviously is fantastic. You have a bunch of big names in there. A couple of them play smaller parts. But the main two that you really want to talk about, well, main three, Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Michael Shannon. The first two for sure are the main characters. They're good. Amy Adams, she didn't really have a whole lot to do. A very different role for her, that's for sure. But like I said, she didn't really do a lot. She was reading a book, she was walking to art meetings, but I think that she really captured this sad, broken, just hardened character in a way that I have never seen her do before. And she does play a little bit of a role of her past self, of her meeting her first husband and how that kind of ended. She's very different in the past than what she is in the present. I really wanted to see Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams together on screen. Only got a glimpse. I'll get to that later, but I think that she did a fantastic job. But the standout for me, I'll consider him the standout for me, is Jake Gyllenhaal. This guy, I declared after watching Nightcrawler a few years ago that he was my favorite actor. I think that there's nobody like him in the business today. Obviously, we can talk about names like Daniel Day-Lewis and some of the older ones that are kind of slowed down a little bit, Robert Duvall, those kind of guys. But as far as continuously acting today, there's no better than Jake Gyllenhaal. And I think that he's just picking roles that are expanding his knowledge and his repertoire just so well. It's a very different character than we've seen him before. It's something that I wasn't expecting to see. I enjoyed it. He played a huge part in the mystery part of it. The story that, as far as his character from the novel, was just fascinating, and it kept you interested and intrigued, and it never let you down. And I think that it's just something that if you're interested, or you're willing to kind of go to the movie to really not just be blown away by action and big explosions and all that kind of stuff, but really sit down and watch a film, Nocturnal Animals is it. And I'll get to a little bit of the negatives later, but and it's kind of a positive and negative now that I think about it, but it didn't answer questions that we wanted answered, and it leaves you wondering and questioning and thinking at the end, it doesn't really just end, but it kind of just ends as well. I mean, it ends at a point in time where you're like, what? Like, I want to know more. I want to know what happens here. And that's what leaves you really kind of not happy, but really satisfied with what you're watching, because you don't see a lot of movies that do that these days. You know, the one that comes to mind that really just kind of left you hanging was Inception. And this doesn't leave you hanging such as something like that, but it leaves you hanging in ways where there's just things that go unanswered. And I think that's something I really enjoyed. I was having a conversation with my buddy after we watched it last night, but it's both a positive and negative, because at the same time as you're happy that it kind of just lets you kind of think on your own, you still want it answered in a way that the director sees fit. And that's kind of a negative in a little bit for me, but that's definitely a positive for me. The writing obviously is on point, just fantastic. Acting, Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, it's all great. And the positives are definitely more, they outweigh the negatives by far. And I think the story that takes place in the novel is some of the best writing I've seen in a while. It's just Aaron Taylor Johnson, by the way, I haven't mentioned him, but you know, he gets bagged on a lot. You know, the Godzilla didn't really have facial expressions, Quicksilver, all that kind of stuff. He was solid in this, and he played. If you don't know, and it's not really a spoiler, but he played this chaotic young guy, mid-20s, probably late 20s, just kind of almost a psychopath. Can be considered a serial killer, murderer if you want to. But there's things that unravel within the movie. You're just like, wow, like I was not expecting that. And those are all positives, and it makes it that much more exciting. So, but on top of the positives, you know, obviously there are negatives. Not every movie is perfect. There are very rare few movies that are just absolutely perfect. For this one, I had mentioned it earlier, but the questions that you don't get, or the answers you don't get from the questions, there are multiple things that you just want to know what happened. And I think that Tom Ford was intending to do that. I think that was his idea behind the movie. And I praise that, and I hey, more power to you. But at the same time, I want those damn questions answered, because, you know, although there were things that unraveled in the movie, I wanted to know what happened at the very end. If you watch the movie, if, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about towards the end. The book itself finishes in a way where it answers questions, but present day, it leaves you hanging in a way that you're just like, oh wow, like what the hell happened here? And you can kind of think on your own, you can theorize, and I think that's what he intended to do. But at the same time, you want that stuff answered. You know, other than that, I think that one thing that can be talked about is Michael Shannon's character. Michael Shannon's awesome. He's one of the coolest dudes in the acting business, period. And it's nothing against his role, his acting, and nothing, but his character was just like, I don't know, it was a little weird for me. And, you know, I don't know if it was necessary to have him there, and he kind of just like disappeared towards the end of the movie. And again, if you see the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But he kind of just disappears in a way where, like, where the hell is this guy? Like, where did he go? But again, that's one of the questions that you need answered. And I think this whole movie is just about thinking and theorizing your own thoughts and like all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of gonna wrap up my negatives. I'm bummed that I didn't get to see as much Isla Fisher as I wanted to. I wanted to see more Armie Hammer, just because I think he's an awesome actor, and you know, he might end up being Green Lantern at some point. So, but like I said, the positives outweigh the negatives. I think that, you know, it's a movie that, if it's in your area and you're willing to give something a little bit different a chance, I think this is exactly it. You know, I hope that this movie starts making money, because it's well worth the watch. It's one of the best movies of this year. It's probably going to have some screenwriting or something as far as awards go. It's a very, very dark movie too. I didn't get to mention that, but it's a dark movie. And so just take that in if you give it a chance. And so expect to see something like you've never seen before, especially the opening of the movie. The opening of the movie is just wacky, and it's, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So as far as a score to 10, I'm going to give Nocturnal Animals an 8 out of 10. And it would have been higher, but I think I took into account those answers that I wanted a little bit more than I thought I would. Still a fantastic movie. I would probably end up going to watch it again at some point. if someone asked me to. But I'm going to give Nocturnal Animals an 8 out of 10. Well worth it. I do recommend it. If you're a certain age, that is, make sure you check out the rating and everything because it's pretty dark. I am Jake Berlin. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at QuigonJake, apocalypsemovies.com every day. Check out our YouTube channel as well, Apocalypse Movies. We got movie news every week. We got the Padawan podcast, our Star Wars show every 2 weeks, with Rogue One coming out here this weekend. We're gonna do a lot of stuff as far as Padawan goes. Talk a lot about Rogue One. So thank you for joining me today. Make sure you check out our other movie reviews. With all these Oscar movies coming out, we're trying to catch up as best as possible. So again, thank you, and until next time, see you later.